Good with the Johnson. It's your boy Joe.
I'm Caitlyn.
Today we're gonna talk about my wife's testimony. She has a powerful testimony she's gonna share about identity, spirit of rejection. Um, I truly believe that it's gonna help people that are in their teenagers or in their teens,
Teen years.
teen years,
Yeah.
young adults, even older. And so I'm just gonna have her have the floor and just share her testimony. But before we actually going into it, share a little about your background, where you're from, so just so we get an idea as we going into it.
Well, before we do that, you forgot to tell them this is our second time
Oh
trying to
yes,
record this
this is our
episode.
second.
We sat
Our
here
phone
and
died.
my phone died while we were recording.
Oh man,
We sat here and had a whole 20-minute conversation,
Bruh.
and the phone was dead the whole time. So this is our second.
We was flowing too, y'all.
It was so good.
We was flowing.
All right, well,
We gotta
at least,
run it back.
yeah, I'm glad your phone is charged. All right,
Right.
so a little bit about me.
Yeah, a little bit. What's up?
All right, so I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. After Katrina,
Who that?
troll. After Katrina, my family moved to Houston, Texas, and that was in 05.
Mhm.
And I grew up in Houston. I have one sister and two brothers. And I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a daughter, I'm a wife. I am.
Had to pop the question, y'all. I had to pop the question.
I'm a gatherer of people. I love to
Sure.
plan events and gather people together. There's so much more to me, but that's a little bit about me.
For sure. So let's get into it. Like, I know you told me about it, but it's time to tell the world what really happened.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit like where it started, how to begin, and then we go from there. Because I know a lot of times it was tough, especially at that early age.
Yeah.
Starting out, and so tell us how to begin. Like, how was you feeling? Like, what was the
Yeah.
the process with that?
Yeah, and before I get into my story, just to give you guys some context so you know what I'm talking about, I had low self-esteem for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I didn't see myself the way God saw me. I didn't love myself. And so that's what I'm about to share.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, my biological dad was not in the picture. Like, he was very in and out of my life.
Mhm.
He may call me consistently for a week or two, and then he would disappear for a few years. So my biological dad was never really in my life. But then at the age of 4, the man that I considered to be my father, Robert Michael Haynes,
Right.
came into the picture. However, because my biological dad wasn't in the picture, that did affect me. And I would always ask myself as a child, like in elementary school, why doesn't he love me? Is something wrong with me? Am I not good enough? And so as a child, I just assumed that the reason why he wasn't in my life was because of me.
Right.
And so that affected me at a very early age. And that is really where um, that's where rejection came in. So my dad wasn't around. That's where rejection came in. And then I got a little bit older and I got to middle school. Now, in middle school, that's when everybody is going through puberty. Everybody is getting taller. They putting on some weight.
Got that deep voice. Boys got that.
They voice getting a little deeper.
Oh, that's good.
But I wasn't growing.
Right.
So I had before the school year started, my mom took us to our pediatrician to get our physicals. So she's checking my height and she looks at my chart and she's like, "You're done growing." Mind you, I'm only in 6th grade.
Right.
So I'm like, how am I done growing and I'm only in the 6th grade? And I was at the time 4'11". I'm still 4'11". So I was done growing in 6th grade. So I was 4'11", but I was also 73 pounds. So I was severely underweight. So my parents built their first home when I was going into 7th grade. So going into 7th grade, we moved to a new area, a new suburb of Houston called Richmond, Texas. And so that meant I was going to a new school. So when I got to this new school, I don't know, I guess my peers were so shocked by how little I was. And I was like the smallest person in my grade.
Right.
And I was the smallest person in every class that I had. So it seemed like every day I was hearing something negative about myself. Like it never stopped. And I remember
like in your mind, or
no,
was
no,
it
no,
people?
no, not in my mind. Because as far as at that time, as far as I was concerned, I didn't see anything wrong with myself.
For sure.
I didn't see myself as too short, too skinny, too anything. I was just me.
Right.
But when I got to middle school and everybody else is growing and things like that, and I wasn't, like it became obvious that like I stood out. I was different. And so my classmates, my peers, they're the ones who would always have something negative to say about me being so small. And I remember there would be times where I go home from school. I don't know how many times it happened, but I remember this one time in particular. I think I was in 7th grade. I went home from school and I sat on my bedroom floor by the window and just cried.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing though, is I had this whole like tough act about myself. Like if you hurt my feelings, I wasn't gonna let you know. I wasn't gonna let you know that my feelings was hurt. And whenever I left out of my house, I put on this persona like I had so much confidence. And so people didn't know that I had low self-esteem except for my mom, of course, because mothers know everything. They pay attention.
They know everything.
She paid attention and she knew. And my mom would talk to me all the time about confidence and loving myself and things like that. But because I went to school and I heard all the time that I'm too skinny, blah, 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 like it started to get to me. And eventually I developed low self-esteem. And I was very, very insecure. I did not love myself. I hated the way I looked. Now, here's what made it really bad. It's one thing when you have to hear your schoolmates saying negative things about you all the time. But then, like even at church, the adults that went to my church would also make rude comments.
Really?
Yes. It's like, it's one thing to hear it from children in middle school. Because, at that age, children are so immature, like you can expect that from them. But adults at your big grown age, you think they would know better. But there were adults who would say, who just wouldn't be mindful of what they said to me either. So starting in 7th grade, that's when I started to have really low self-esteem, and it just carried over year after year. And it, well, I don't want to share that part yet. So when I got to, I think my freshman year or sophomore year in high school, I was so desperate to gain weight. And at that time, I probably was like 77 pounds. So I'm still severely underweight.
Right.
I was so desperate to gain weight. I started going on YouTube and searching how to gain weight. And I started seeing a bunch of videos about some product called Apetamin. And so girls would make videos and have before and after of them being really, really skinny.
Explain what that is.
So Apetamin is
what's that? Yeah.
Apetamin is a liquid substance. It's like a syrup. And it is supposed to help you gain weight. So what it does is it increases your appetite and like it causes you to eat all day.
Really?
It makes you very hungry. So I saw several videos on YouTube of girls talking about how they were taking Apetamin and they were gaining weight. So me, because I'm so desperate to gain weight, I go searching online because Apetamin, I believe it's illegal. It is not supposed to be sold in the US. So like you have to do some digging to find people who sell it.
Wow.
So I got on the internet and I found somebody who sold Apetamin and I ordered a bottle. At that time, I don't even think I had my own debit card. How I ordered it, I don't know. But desperate times calls for desperate measures. There's no telling how I got it. Probably used my mama card. Sorry, Mom. So I ordered me a bottle of Apetamin, and as soon as I took, it comes with a little cup, and you're supposed to take it, I think, before every meal, so like 3 times a day.
Mm.
I took it after school. Immediately, it started working and it knocked me out.
Mm.
So what I didn't know at the time though is that there's a reason why Apetamin is illegal. It is not supposed to be sold in the U.S. And that's because it's a dangerous substance to take, and it has a lot of negative side effects. Like it can cause seizures, heart attack, high blood pressure. It can cause even death in some cases.
Mm.
And I didn't know about all those side effects. So I started taking the Apetamin, and it felt like it was just draining the life out of me. I had absolutely no energy. It was hard for me to stay awake in class. I was like sleepy and drowsy all day in school. Then when I got home from school, I would go in my room and just pass out.
You was taking this daily?
I was taking it every day.
Wow.
And it did increase my appetite, but you be so sleepy,
Over
you're not
time.
even awake to eat.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then I started breaking out in my face. I started getting really bad bumps on the sides of my face. But like I said, I was so desperate to gain weight so that I could look like everybody else. I kept taking it.
Mm.
And my mom would fuss at me about taking a Apetamin. And so eventually I got to a place where I just couldn't keep dealing with like the side effects of it.
Right.
And so I got rid of my last bottle, and I didn't order any more Apetamin. Now there was this time I was at home by myself, and I was walking down the stairs, and right before I got to the bottom of the steps, I had the worst chest pain I've ever had.
Mm.
And so I ended up falling, and I was laying at the bottom of the stairs. And the only way I could describe it is it felt like somebody took my heart and was squeezing it real tight. And I got so scared. I had tears in my eyes. I was crying, and I thought I was having a heart attack.
Mm.
And looking back on it now, it probably was because I was taking a dangerous substance. So I stopped taking the Apetamin, and for a while I kind of gave up on trying to gain weight because I couldn't figure out what I could do to put on some weight. And it is not like I would starve myself and I didn't eat. Like I always ate, I just didn't gain weight.
So you never could gain weight.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, for all throughout high school,
Mm.
I weighed no more than 78 pounds.
Mm.
So I was severely underweight. Now, once I graduated, a few months later in August, after graduating, I turned 19. So it was when I was 19 years old that I started building my personal relationship with God.
Mm.
And so one thing I love about God is that once you start to seek Him and build a relationship with Him, He starts to basically like work on you.
Mm.
And so I never went to God and said, God, like I have low self-esteem. Um, I don't love myself. I hate the way I look. Like I'm not happy in my own skin. I never went to God and said any of those things. He already knew what I was struggling with. He knew the areas that I needed help in. And so one day I was in His presence and I was worshiping.
Mm-hmm.
And I love to journal. So one day I just started writing down all of the lies that I had believed about myself. Like, you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're too skinny. All of those things, I wrote it down. And then I either balled up the paper or I ripped it up. And then I just began to weep in the presence of God. And it was in that moment, it was in that very moment where I'm weeping before God that I overcome the low self-esteem and the negative self-image. And that's when I started to, that's when I discovered that scripture that talks about me being fearfully and wonderfully made.
Mm-hmm.
And so I chose to just believe God when He said I was fearfully and wonderfully made. And so, yeah, it was that day in that moment in God's presence that I decided to believe the word of God and believe that I was fearfully and wonderfully made. And I was able to overcome low self esteem in that moment.
Wow. So again, this started back in middle school,
Yeah.
and then worked its way up to high school, and all because most of it because you couldn't gain weight,
Right.
most of it, right?
Right.
So even in that process, um, how how did you deal with that in that process? Because I know a lot of times you will try so many things.
Yeah.
Most people will try so many things just to gain weight, food wise or anything, right?
Mhm.
Um, so what was it called again?
Apetamin.
Apetamin.
Mhm.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
people still sell it to this
To
day,
this
and
day.
people still, there's girls on TikTok who talk about Apetamin.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's still around.
Wow. So you wouldn't suggest to?
No, I would not advise anybody to
Mm,
take Apetamin because it's so dangerous. Like, it's not worth risking your health. And in some cases, like I said, even your life over. It's
you
never
think
that
that made
serious.
it worse with taking that, or it's just because you took it every day and over time?
Yeah, it didn't change whether or not I was able to gain weight.
Right.
However, it like I said, it affected my skin. I had a really bad breakout,
Mm,
and I had these ugly bumps on the side of my face. Um, I had no energy, like it completely drained me, and I was
mm,
sleepy all the time. And like I said, I had that experience with that really painful chest pain.
mm.
And so, like, it's just never that serious.
Right.
Like, you don't want to end up in the hospital having a seizure or a heart attack or being close to death simply because you want to put on some weight. Like, find a healthy, safe way to do it.
Right. Wow. So I'm gonna shift gears here a little bit. I'm gonna go back a little bit. You said um, your biological father wasn't around at
Right.
the time, but your father now, pops. Shout out to pops, man. Uh, so take us to that through that journey of, because I know the spirit of rejection was there.
Yeah.
So take us through that process. What was that like for you, and especially now where you are now?
Yeah.
Um, how did that happen for you? Like,
Yeah, so I didn't even know that I dealt with the spirit of rejection
mm,
until maybe about 3 years ago. And what I want a lot of people to know is that there's always a root cause
mm,
for the things that you struggle with.
right,
And sometimes, so like for me, I thought that low self-esteem was the main issue. Low self-esteem wasn't the real issue. Rejection was the root. Low self-esteem was just the fruit of that.
right.
And so a lot of times,
They're like
what you're
cousins, right?
the things you're dealing with, that's just the fruit of
Mm-hmm.
what the real issue
Real
is.
issue, yeah.
And so because my biological dad wasn't in my life, the root was rejection.
Mm,
Rejection came in from a very early age because of that.
mm,
And then it was so easy for the low self-esteem and the negative self-image to come in
right.
because rejection was already there.
Mm,
So those things were just the fruit of that. And so you always have to deal with the root. Once you address the root, then it's so easy to deal with the fruit of whatever the thing is.
right.
And so I think about 3 years ago, I was at a conference and Jenny Weaver was there. And of course, it's Jenny, so she's doing deliverance.
Oh, yeah.
And
Known for
so
delivering.
she started to call out the spirit of rejection.
Mm,
And at first, I was fine when I heard the word rejection. But then she said, it's not that your father didn't love you, he just didn't know how to be a father to you. And when she said that, I couldn't even, I'm one of those people, like, I try to be real cool and keep it together in services.
mm,
Like, I'm not one of them people. Like,
right.
I ain't going to start running. I'm not going to shout. I ain't going to do none of that. I keep it
Right.
real cool.
Right.
So, but when she said that, I couldn't control myself in that moment. Like, I immediately began to weep. And while I was weeping, all of that rejection, that hurt, that pain, all of that stuff that I had felt for years because my father wasn't in my life, I felt all of that like come up.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm crying, not only is it coming up, but it's like it's coming out too.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that moment, I got delivered from rejection.
Yeah.
And honestly, sometimes all you need is a revelation to be set free from something.
That's all it takes.
Because all my
That's all
life,
it takes.
I had thought that it was because of me that he wasn't there. But once I got the revelation, it had nothing to do with you.
Right.
It's simply because he didn't know how to be a father. That was all I needed to set me free.
Right. Man, so that this whole time, now that because your father came in, right? Now, what was that experience? Because I know you was young, you was
Yeah,
real young. We was like four,
I was 4.
four. So you said your family was like pretty much excited
Yeah.
that he came in. It was
So
like it was a spiritual and a natural thing
yeah,
happened. Like it happened organically. So like explain that
yeah.
how that
So
happened.
well, I gotta be honest. Okay, I have to tell the truth. I have to expose myself a little bit.
Tell it.
Whatever. So the man that I consider to be my father, the one who raised me, Robert Michael Haynes,
Shout out to
he
Pops.
Robert Michael Haynes the fourth, because Robbie's the fifth, right? He's my sibling. I should know.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh
I
God.
don't know. But anyway, so my dad came into my life when I was 4.
Mhm.
So I don't know if at 4 if you're still considered a toddler, but I was very, very young. And so
Yeah.
from 4 years old, up until now, I've always had a father. He's always been in my life. And so even though my biological dad wasn't in the picture, God is so good that he sent me a father, and I didn't know um, what it was like to grow up without a father in the home because he's been there since I was 4.
Mhm.
Now, I can't lie and say when he first came into the picture, when he was trying to date my mama, that we just welcomed him with open arms. Now,
Oh
Clay,
man.
he used to buy Clay McDonald's. So Clay welcomed him with open arms
Right.
because he get free food.
Mhm.
My sister was only 2, so like whatever, she's just a baby.
Right.
Me, as a child, I was very messy. Like at 4, I was messy. I knew how to start drama at 4. So he come around, I'm giving him looks. When he's not in the room, I'm talking to my cousins about him and being messy.
Yeah.
So, I gave him a hard time at first. But once I got to know him
Boy, I tell you.
and I got used to seeing him,
We got you, Pops. You know how she is, man.
once I got to know him and he like became part of the family, like that's
So that it was like a gift and a blessing.
no, not it wasn't like a gift, it was a
It
gift.
was a gift. It is
Because
yeah.
not only
Yeah.
was my biological dad not in my life, I had two other siblings at the time, Clay
Yeah.
and BB. Clay's dad was murdered when he was a baby. My sister's dad was also murdered when she was a baby. So
Wow.
none of us had fathers.
Right.
So he saw me and my siblings. He knew we needed a dad, and he sent us one.
Yeah, that's a blessing, man.
Yeah.
Walking into a family like that, knowing the situation, the circumstance, like how that happened, like that's truly a blessing.
Yeah,
from
and
God.
I've never asked him, but it never seemed like it was any pressure. Like he never looked like he was under pressure to me. Like he
Right.
just looked like he knew
Right.
what he was doing.
Right.
So, and one thing about my dad is he never referred to me and my siblings as stepchildren.
Right.
And we never
Just took y'all
yeah,
like his own.
those are my daughters, that's my son.
Mhm.
And we never referred to him as stepdad, and he never treated us like we were stepchildren.
Right.
And the people that we grew up around in Houston, those people did not know for a long time that he was not our biological dad.
Mm.
They used to say,
That's amazing.
Caitlyn, you look like your mom, and BB, you look like
Like
your
his
dad.
dad.
And I'm like, first of all,
People just be talking.
they just say
just say right.
anything, knowing good and well she don't look like him.
Oh man, that's funny.
But yeah, so and that's another thing too, is it's so easy for us to see the bad side of something.
Mhm.
Just it's so easy for me to say, well, my biological dad wasn't in my life, but when you really get that revelation that this person just, if it's a woman, she doesn't know how to mother you and how to nurture you, or if it's a man, he doesn't know how to father you and love you like a father.
Mhm.
It really is a blessing that they weren't in your life, because imagine being raised by somebody who doesn't know how to mother you or how to father you. They'll do more damage being present than they do not being present.
Right.
And so when I realized that, I honestly, like, I started thanking God, because I felt like it was protection. And you know how some people say rejection is God's protection.
Yep.
I think that that's true. I believe that. And
Right.
so when you feel rejected by a person, a lot of times it really is God protecting you from something.
Wow. It's so much to unfold because that's the power. Your testimony is so powerful because there are kids now don't have fathers right now,
Yeah.
right? And even me working at a school with a lot of kids, and I hear all the time, my dad is not around.
Yeah.
My dad is not around. I was like, wow. And it's just amazing how that worked, how God worked that out because, you know, so hearing from your brother, your sister saying that they was murdered, right?
Yeah.
The fathers.
Clay's dad was murdered when he was a baby. He might have been one.
See, that was,
BB's father was also murdered when she was a baby. She was maybe one.
and that's what I'm hearing at the school.
Yeah.
A lot of the kids, they say, well, my daddy's in jail, got killed, whatever the case
Yeah.
would be. I'm hearing that 8, 9 years old, hearing that every day, almost every day. So for you to say that and how Pops came into you guys' life like that, it's truly a blessing from God,
Yeah.
you know? And so, gotta wrap it up here because we're out of time. But just if you have one word, any few words to share, you know, with a teenager, girl, boy, adult, young adult, whatever, what can you say to them just to help them, encourage them, you know, if they don't see their father or don't have a father that's not in their life particularly, what can you say to them at this very
Yeah.
moment?
So what I would say to any person watching this video who you may have low self-esteem and negative self-image, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And
Yeah.
what it means to be fearfully and wonderfully made means you've been designed and created by God to be unique and to be different. If you're unique and different, that means you're not supposed to look like everybody else. You're not supposed to sound like everybody else. You've been created to be set apart. So celebrate your uniqueness. Celebrate the fact that you are different and learn to be comfortable in that. It's what makes you you. And so I would encourage you to start to read the Word of God and meditate on scriptures like you're fearfully and wonderfully made so that you can start to believe it, and then it'll change how you see yourself, how you view yourself. And I would encourage you to start to pray and ask God, Lord, help me to see myself the way that you see me. You're not too short, you're not too tall, you're not too big, you're not too skinny, you're not too anything. You are perfect just the way that you are. And I know that some people feel like you have to change your appearance to be accepted or to even one day be married and to have somebody love you. But the truth of the matter is that there's somebody that God has put on this earth just for you, and they're going to love you just the way that you are. You don't have to change the way that you look to be loved by anybody. And if you're somebody who is dealing with rejection because you have an absent mother or absent father, then I will say to you the same thing that Jenny Weaver said to me. It's not that they don't love you, it's not that you're not good enough. It's simply they don't know how to be a father and how to love you, or she doesn't know how to be a mother and how to nurture you.
Wow, that was good. That was she did that, y'all. I ain't gonna lie, she did that. But that concludes our off script with the Johnsons. My wife sharing her testimony, powerful testimony. I'm sure we're gonna have many more to come because there's a lot to unfold that. But it was truly a blessing to hear you share your testimony because it was amazing to hear it because the maturity, the everything that you've been through, and it brought you here now.
Yeah.
You know, it's truly amazing to see that what God has done in your life. So what He's continuing to do in your life as well. So that concludes our episode 2.
Episode 2.
Episode 2. So we'll see y'all next time. I'll scoop the Johnsons.
Thanks for watching.